Anyways, yeah, let's move on to our first subject, which when did this, hmm. Well, you know what, we have, okay, so around November 15th, I don't know if that's the exact date, who broke the story, whatever. It was said in an interview with Game Informer that PlayStation's not going to be at E3 this year, and this is something that I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the podcast, but I've certainly told numerous people about it, about like the future of E3, where I think it's going. And the answer is I think it's going down south, if that makes any sense. As in, it's kind of worthless nowadays. Don't get me wrong, like, I still find, for the record, yeah, before I talk about this, I find E3 very fun. I love it when a big new game gets announced. It's been hyped. Everybody's been waiting for it, but it's not necessary, and that's the key here. Sony sees that. Nintendo saw it first, in my opinion, because even though they're at E3, they do the Nintendo Directs so that they don't have to waste money on like a venue to do their what's it called, press conference or whatever. And now Sony's getting in on that. So I think that in the future we're going to see companies do things more often like Nintendo Directs. Like a Nintendo Direct, what is it in idea? Well, basically, like, instead of waiting till E3 or something, PSX or something every year, PSX, like the PlayStation Experience or whatever in their case, or things like that, right? Conventions. Instead of waiting for that, Nintendo's just like, well, if we have good news to tell the people, let's just tell them. So they do it like, 4 times a year, and they round up as much like good things they have to report to the people as they can, and there you go. And then the E3 one usually is like a special one. So it's still special, but overall it's just more, news. And yeah, I think that in the age of the internet, when things are constantly being leaked, or it's more predictable, even though they have big game announcements and stuff, it's just so much money for these companies, and it's just so not necessary. Like this year, you can tell it feels like Sony didn't even try, because all the games that were there, just about that's at Sony's, that is, were already announced. We knew they were coming. They didn't show much more. I mean, they showed some gameplay for them, which was really good. Like The Last of Us 2 or whatever. Holy shit, that's gonna be such a good game. And the rest of it was kind of just a show. They had the little, musical thing at the beginning. What was that? What was the only new game I can remember them showing is some samurai game. Here, let's type it in. Samurai game at PlayStation E3. That wasn't Sekiro, which looked awesome. Ghost of Tsushima. Ugh. Ghost of Tsushima. That's really, it's hard to say the ghost and then anyway, yeah. So that looked pretty awesome, granted too. But the point isn't that they didn't look awesome and that it wasn't kind of a fun show, but it was just exciting more in the sense like, look at that guy. Look at that guy. Look at his little face. More like it just wasn't necessary. Like they could have done that in a Nintendo Direct style thing, and it would just been free. They just did it from home, record it, like a YouTube video or something, right? So, yeah, and so I think that I don't know if the answer is we're just not gonna have E3, right? Like I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm saying yeah and and because I'm just not really sure. But I did want to say, like, I think this means that Microsoft is gonna follow suit, because you don't have to have more money than your competition to be better than your competition, but it certainly helps. And Microsoft's gonna like take the same kind of idea from Nintendo and PlayStation, and I'm sure that Now, well, I will say this though. Pause for a minute. I will say this: Microsoft usually does their press conference from the Microsoft Theater, so that's like I don't know if that costs money for them, right? But they oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah. Um that was my podcast yawn. Anyways, they do have to still rent out venue space and stuff in the E3, like the Los Angeles Convention Center or whatever it's called, right? To show off games and stuff, and that costs a lot of money. So there's other companies that aren't going to E3 and or just never do for another thing. But yeah. But anyway, I guess that's really all I have to say on that subject. I don't have anything more about it. Really though, I'm just saying that like I think that's where E3 is going. It's going to a place where it's like companies don't really need it anymore. Is it going to go away completely? It might. I'm willing to bet that it probably will actually, or at least it'll be changed in format in some way. Let me put it this way: it's either going away or it's going away in the way that we know it. So, yeah. That's really all I have to say on E3.